focused on the individual, this podcast aims to shine a light on the remarkable spirit of humanity. We're dedicated to bringing you the inspiring conversations with exceptional organizations and individuals devoted to creating a better world. Welcome to the Lighthouse Keepers Podcast.
Welcome back to the Lighthouse Keepers Podcast. I'm your host, Mary Ellen Sherlock, and I am delighted today to introduce you to today's guest, Dave Tracy. Dave is the president, founder, and chairman of the Three Village Dads Club. Dave, thank you so much for being on the Lighthouse Keepers with us.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
You have such an extraordinary story. That I'm very excited to talk about it. But I also think that one of the things that impressed me about you is you told us that you went into service. You joined the Marines, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You were. And I know a little bit about the Marines. I know people that went into Marines, and it's a pretty extraordinary part of the armed services in that they really speak, and it's what's embodied in there as a brotherhood. And I find that, fast forward now where you are, the brotherhood that you've created in the Three Village Dads, I think, is pretty outstanding.
Reminiscent of...
Yes,
sure.
Exactly. And the fact that you are the founder, how much of that do you think percolated back when you were in the service, when you were in the Marines?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, I never expected any of this to happen, and I didn't have the ambitions or the goals or ideas to do this out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
But I think, as we had said, it created a solid foundation, a solid base. The camaraderie I grew to respect and appreciate.
Right.
So I think when the opportunity was available to do something like this, I think it just helped me flourish in that position. I don't know if it necessarily drove me in the position.
Right.
I think there was a lot of luck and a lot of kind of things just falling in the right place.
Yes.
And once I was put in the position, I like to think the Marine Corps did help me in that regard.
I think one of the things that's interesting, a lot of people that come on the podcast, there's an impetus where something just shifts and something just changes, but whatever brought them, whatever things that happened in their life, that kind of led up to building the character that they needed to go into the next level. So I know so many interesting stories about this organization, which I understand this was created in 2019.
Correct.
And you have 2,200 men that are in this organization. Is that right?
Correct.
That is amazing. I mean, and I'm not saying that, please don't take this any disrespect to our male listeners, but you're not going to regular football games and tailgating, are you? You're not. It's one of the things.
As an organization or myself?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't have very much time to do that kind of thing, but yes.
Yes. I mean, this really is the organization that you've built and created and fostered is men that do things for the community.
Correct.
And that's why I find this so interesting and so compelling. So tell us, how did it get started?
So 2019 is when the foundation was created. It was born out of the private Facebook group called the Three Village Dads. And we got to a point where our membership had grown to a point where it was not something that could be ignored or wasn't just a little old, social club. Correct. It kind of became a local force for, at the time, not want to say good, but definitely a recognizable force in the community. And through our, get-togethers and things that we had put together, we'd realized that with this large growing group that we could do better things as opposed to just being a bunch of guys and going to the football tailgating club and or going to the bar or anything like that. We decided that we should kind of put into motion things that would help the community.
The formality of it, actually create.
Correct, yeah.
Something.
So it did take a few years for that to grow, and 2019 is eventually when we did cross that line from just a social club to something that's a lot more charitable and forward-thinking as far as what we were doing.
That's amazing. So were you surprised?
Very, and I'm still surprised to this day.
I think that's wonderful. I think when you're so unassuming that, hey, it's just this homegrown, wonderful thing that's and I want to say flourished, because it really has.
Correct. I would say that's the proper
And
term.
the number of people that the number of men that want to be in it. It's not that their wives are like, you need to join this club. They actually, of their own volition, like, that sounds like something I want to sign up for.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it spreads through the network of, through your neighbors or the volunteers at the firehouse, the local firehouse, or guys that are on the same, their children are on the same sports team. It does spread by word of mouth. So there's a bit of a peer pressure there,
Right.
Especially in the beginning. Now, yes, we are kind of a more recognized organization. So you don't even have to have been approached by somebody who's in the organization to say, hey, you should join the group. You could have just heard through any of the things that we've accomplished
Right.
that we are maybe something that's a good idea to join. So.
Right. Speaking of accomplishments, can you tell us a few? Because they're pretty impressive.
Sure. Where to begin? I guess to summarize before going all the way back, to date we have donated over $400,000 just in the 5 years that we've existed as a foundation.
Amazing.
That's to at least 30 to 40 different organizations within Three Village. That is kind of one of our prerequisites for donating, is that it is an organization or something that is tied, or a cause that is tied to Three Village. So yeah, 400,000 in just that time. Our very first donation was to the Stony Brook Children's Hospital. And that was born out of a quick kind of picnic that we had kind of had, like a potluck picnic, just to say, hey, listen, we're an organization, let's get together, let's do something. We ended up raising $12,000 at the picnic.
Unbelievable.
And had no idea where to send it.
Right. You almost surprised yourselves.
So surprised ourselves. And so Stony Brook Children's Hospital became a good partner with that. We ended up donating $100,000 over the course of the next 3 years.
It's really, it's incredible.
It really,
Congratulations.
thank you. It
Yeah.
surprised the heck out of us.
Yeah.
And we realized that the organization could kind of be the recipient of funds and donations and be able to push that out. Because what we were seeing in the beginning was like GoFundMe's pop up whenever there was
Right.
either a tragedy or somebody was trying to raise money for something as a good cause, I would say. And we didn't like that model. GoFundMe takes a large percentage, and then it's very reactive. Whereas we want to be proactive. So if we had the money already,
Yes.
we could affect change immediately. So that was kind of the goal of becoming a foundation
Right.
from the private organization.
Did you find that, Mary Ellen, we almost surprise ourselves with some of these incredible victories? But that is what keeps everybody. It's such a good feeling,
Sure.
that everyone's like, wow, I want more of that.
Sure.
It can be addictive. Like, we can do more, we can do better. And
agree.
that is why that it's grown to the level that it's grown, because it is something that when people invest, there's a return on that investment in their own community.
Correct, yeah.
They can touch and feel and drive past. I heard you guys
Yes.
redid a park, and just really wonderful things for a community. Just curious, because we talked about this a little earlier. I'm sure the wives are really proud and excited for.
That's a term. That's
Okay. I'm sure it
yes.
takes some time away.
Sure, it does. And we do have quite a few women from the local area that want to join the group, and because we've kind of said it's a boys-only club, no girls allowed,
Yes.
we do exclude them in that way.
Yes.
But we do have community events where they can kind of participate
Yes.
a little bit, but no, this is primarily the guys. And so the women, tend to be, the wives, I would say, are a little more jealous of what we have.
Yeah.
Their organization.
In a good way, ladies.
In a good way. Their organization's not as cohesive, and so it's a little fractured in the way that they interact with each other on social media, where ours has become more of a closer network. A lot of the members know each other, they interact with each other, either with business or neighborly things. So it's definitely...
You mentioned across the group, there's so many different walks of life, different businesses that are people in, all different ages and cross sections. Is that what helps it a really nice blend of, we've got it all, the array of talents, and it goes across the board? Would you say that that's...
Absolutely. And I think that's one of our keys to success. Our private
depth
group...
of your bench, so to speak.
Correct. That's great term.
Yeah.
I love baseball terminology.
Go Yanks. Sorry.
We're Mets, but...
Sorry, okay.
So our organization, the private group, has, like I said, 2,200 members, and there are so many professionals and different experts in different fields that these guys can turn to the members within the group and say, hey, I have a problem, how do I fix it? Or, hey, I have an idea, give me some pointers. And there's always somebody, and our term is, who's our guy?
Who's our guy?
We've got a guy.
Everybody's got a guy.
We've always got
need
a guy.
guy.
And it's really a something that the private group had built off of, and that's why I believe we became so successful within the community, because it's a reliable place for recommendations.
Yeah.
But it runs the gamut from law enforcement to teachers to doctors to the guy making your bagel in the morning to the guy changing your tire on the side of the road. There's just so many.
It really is the essence of community.
Correct.
One of the things that I keep hanging my head on this, because we talked about you being in the Marines and the brotherhood. Does it feel like a brotherhood?
It does.
It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the beginning, it not so much, because everybody's relationship with each other was strictly social media. Until we kind of bridged that gap of creating events where we were having a more interpersonal communication, seeing each other, meeting each other, shaking hands, going,
Right.
oh, I recognize your name. I've seen your face on Facebook.
Right.
Once we've kind of transcended that social media gap, it definitely started to become a
It
brotherhood.
fortified the team.
Correct.
And everybody felt that they were shoulder to shoulder in whatever you're doing, whether
Correct.
it's raising money or, redoing a park
Sure.
or helping a family, something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. I just have to ask you, I know that I've mentioned this to you, but I have to imagine that the youngsters, the families, your son, what an incredible role model that is.
Yeah.
Them seeing you interact as part of the community, working with other people across every type of living, every economic, social, whatever. You really do, it is about the greater good, and it
Correct.
is about, people working together and coming together
Sure.
as a community. Do you see that as well in the other people that are in the group? I mean, I've only had the pleasure of knowing you, but it starts with one.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And if that kind of, then filters down to the rest, and the other men feel that way, that they are proud of being part of something like this.
And they start to bring your families around. Sure,
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
exactly.
So recently, once we took over the Merritt Hawkins homestead, the historical property on Pond Path in Setauket.
Oh, wow.
It's a home that was built in 1802, and it kind of was just sitting in disrepair, and the town kind of made us the stewards of the property. So we've built that up, fixed it up, and trying to return it to a home that looks like a home that was built in 1802.
Right.
We've had so many children, parents reaching out. I need volunteer hours. I need to do something, for a resume, and we have that ability to now offer community service hours for these kids.
It just keeps on
keeps
giving.
building.
It just
So-
keeps on.
So I have constantly a member that'll reach out and say, "Hey, my son needs 10 hours by 3 weeks from now." I was like, "Well, does he like raking leaves, or does he want to paint a fence?" Because
Yeah.
we have the ability to now offer that. So so the children and coming around is definitely a nice
Right.
nice thing. And then we see even when they get to 20, 21, 22, they're going to college. They're actually joining the dad's group as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, so-
It's really amazing.
Even though they're not dads, they're just they're
it's okay.
males within the three
They
village.
got a pair of these? Come on over.
Sure,
We could use a
exactly.
pair of hands. Absolutely. Just like in the Marines, people talk about why leadership is so important. How does that feel for you? Do you feel the enormity sometimes as the leader of this group, as, I'm responsible for making sure that we're headed in the right direction?
Sure.
Do you ever feel that? Wow, I feel that on my shoulders sometimes.
I didn't at first. At first, I was still somebody that could show up, to the bar when I knew the guys were meeting, or a pizza place or whatever was going on, and people still didn't really recognize me or know who I was. Once my involvement became, more interactive, and I started to meet a lot more people, and I became that recognized individual. Sure, I had to step up to make sure that it wasn't necessarily my or not want to say my responsibility, but it wasn't my fault that things were, not right or not going the way that it should be going. So I did have to answer for a few things that, there's knuckleheads, and when you got 2,000 of them, you're going to have a few.
Yes.
And I had to answer for some of these things for people I didn't even know, but because they were associated with the organization. And I was kind of thrust into that, I guess I want to say leadership. I don't want, just that I'm in charge, and I wanted to make sure that
there's an ownership there.
Correct.
That I
Correct.
take responsibility.
And once that kind of flourished, I tried to make sure that things stayed on the right track. If the conversation would go too far towards politics or too far towards something that's not productive, then I would try to bring it back, and I'd remind them that, hey guys, it's not some stranger on Facebook that you're talking to across the country. It's your neighbor, or it's somebody you may see at the
your children go to school together.
Correct.
They might be on the same team.
So let's just let's
be mindful a little bit about who you're, the people that you're interacting with.
Correct. And then as the events started to come about more so, people are reaching out to me because I'm the the face of it.
Right.
So yes, I definitely found myself in I would say a leadership role, but
right.
I don't like to say that I'm the leader. I don't really like to think in that way.
Right. It's so, this can be a full-time job for most of you that have full-time jobs and families and responsibilities. Where do you find the time? I make the time, or sometimes, Mary Ellen, I look forward to the time.
So early on in my career, I was traveling a lot, and during that travel, I'd be in hotels or I'd be on a long flight, and I found the time to, be able to be on Facebook and bang out some content and whatnot. But my career lately has changed, and so yes, it is tough. I will say that my Google Calendar is an absolute mess.
Oh, good. Okay.
And there's a lot of different colors.
Thank you for being here today.
There's a lot of different colors.
Yes,
and my family has to have its own color, and my work has to have its own color, and it is a lot to juggle. I do get asked that a lot. Hey, how do you have the time to do all this? But it is a second job outside of my job, but it's now something that I'm so proud of that I don't want it to falter. And I would almost feel responsible if anything were to falter, because all these business owners are relying on this organization to be successful. And if I'm not there to kind of make it flourish, do they then have adverse effects? So I definitely, I'll find the time.
Yeah. Even though it's a lot of work, the rewards just as good?
Sure. Yeah. I liked what you said before. It feels good to do good, and that's mostly the reward there. I don't take a salary. I don't get anything monetarily out of this. Sure, I'll walk into a restaurant and the owner wants to buy me a drink, and that's great, and I appreciate that.
Right.
But I always pay for my my meals, and I always make sure that I'm not getting anything for free.
Right.
But the rewards are all. Like, this just feels good.
It feels good.
It feels good to be
like
recognized. It feels good to be here. Like, this is an honor to be here.
Yeah.
I never, like I said, I never envisioned this.
Do you feel that is why some of these gentlemen feel they're migrating towards, I want what he's having? That feel good of service, of community,
Sure. Maybe.
That's a really, it's something that is tangible. And, I know I've said this before, not everything that counts can be counted. And so sometimes, you can't always quantify, you just did lovely, but the day-to-day being part of something becomes so meaningful to other people. And I hope I'm saying this with as much apology as I feel, but it's not something we hear a lot about. There's a lot of women's groups and, this group and my yoga group but to hear this large, impactful people right here in our own backyard, do you get a lot of people to say, hey, can you teach me how to create that in my community in New Jersey or, where we are on the coast? Do you get people that are like, how did that guy do it? What's the recipe?
I have had a few fellow dad organizations reach out. I've had a few meetings about it. And the biggest takeaway that I try to impart on them is that you can't force it. You can't create it because you want to create it. It has to create itself. It takes the right people in the right places. It takes drama, actually, of all things, because without drama, it's hard to build cohesion and learning from mistakes. So yes, people do want to be a part of it, but I'm not sure that they know what it actually takes to grow something that wasn't created, but it blossomed all on its own. So
you are just an incredible example of what we hope there are more people like you, more organizations like Three Village Dads out there. The world needs more people like this organization. So thank you so much for coming here today and being part of it. Dave, if people wanted to find out a little bit more about Three Village Dads, and they wanted to find out, hey, what's the recipe? How do I make that happen here?
So we have a website, 3vdfoundation.com. 3vdfoundation.com. We have a Facebook page that is public facing. Of course, our Three Village Dads page is private, so there's a kind of a question and answer to get people in, and you have to be from the local area, but we do have a foundation page that's forward facing that everybody can kind of follow along and see. And then you can always message me on Facebook. I'm always on there. So,
on behalf of all of us at the Lighthouse Keepers Podcast, thank you so much for creating an amazing community, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Remember that lighthouses symbolize hope. With hope, we persevere and inspire positive change. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep shining your light.